that for the past 8 years. It's been a big sea change, and I think that we need a lot of boots on the ground to keep the momentum going.
I do have a follow-up question about that. One of the things that we found in our research that we did in terms of singular value propositions that can connect dots, but still allows you to be diverse with every member, is U.S. leadership. U.S. leadership in science, U.S. leadership in the economy. So you could have different messages, U.S. leadership in education and STEM, but a common denominator that nobody usually can argue, or at least you can get 51% of Congress to agree on. You don't have to get everybody, but at least you can get the majority to say that if U.S. is going to lead the world, not going to space is a problem. And that's what we found. But so my question to you is, do we really need everybody in the country to agree in the value proposition, or we just need enough of the country to agree? Is it okay to say there is some mother in the middle of the country that is just never going to get it? Is it okay?
I think it's okay, but I think we can't lose sight. There are a lot of those people. And so I don't think we can consistently, we're all part of the space community, right, in here. And so we're on board. We're preaching to the choir, and well, most people, or at least you're interested or you wouldn't be here. And so I think that we still have to keep an eye on the people who don't know anything about it. I mean, when I'm often on planes and I'm usually working and people see things about, space or NASA or whatever, and invariably it starts a conversation. And I ask them, like, well, since you brought it up, let me ask you, what do you know about space right now? And I gotta tell you, the answer in general is nothing. They don't know we have people on the space station. They don't know that NASA has planets or missions to almost every planet in the solar system. They don't know, and so I go through the whole thing, and they're like, "Wow, that's really fantastic." And so I think that no, we don't have to convince everyone, but yes, we have to get better on the messaging and communicating the relevance to people that aren't our biggest supporters.
Great. You want to say something?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to come right back. I'm going to come back on stage.
You take too much time. I think we're in an interesting time right now because we've got this movie version of The Martian coming out. I assume most of you know about that.
Yeah.
This book came out of nowhere.
Right.
It was sort of, the origins were not dissimilar from 50 Shades of Grey. The sales numbers are approaching the early success of 50 Shades of Grey, and it's called The Martian by Andrew Weir. And this came out of nowhere, and it was a shock to a lot of us, especially people my generation, that Apollo generation we keep talking about, because I already saw that movie. It was called Robinson Crusoe on Mars, and it was not a big success at the time.
Right.
But it's a very similar story. This guy stranded on Mars and survives and so forth. And I read it, and it's okay. It's a pretty good book. But I think we almost have a Star Trek moment here. And when you talk to people at JPL, I spent a lot of time up there. I know you've gone up there. They were really inspired by that show and the moments that occurred there. And I think when you talk about, sort of agreeing with your point, talk about buy-in, it is tough to get buy-in on the science side. I write books, that's my thing, and I wrote one of the 10 curiosity books that are on the market right now. Fortunately, mine was out earlier than the other ones. But it was a really tough sell. And space books are a tough sell, and suddenly now this quarter, they're not such a tough sell anymore because people are feeling this, the publishers are feeling this rising tide of space interest. I did a book called Innovation the NASA Way last year, and we sent it to 12 publishers. 9 got very excited, a bidding war started, and then by the time they got to their editorial boards, which is the next step where all the captains of business step in, there were 3. And I thought, golly, what happened? This is just an example of what we're talking about. The editorial boards began discussing it. We found out that these captains of industry who ran these publishing companies, and this is not from McGraw and Macmillan and Simon & Schuster, I got back emails copied from my agent saying things like, I thought NASA had closed.
That's scary.
Didn't the space station crash?
Oh, wow.
Everyone else used to do that all the time. It drove me crazy.
And these are people with master's degrees and literally captains of
Right.
business. So my jaw sort of dropped. So I'm hoping